Good morning you all. My warmest words of welcome to the members of Parliament that are present today, the members of the Council of Lombardy Region, representatives of the European and Italian institutions, the Dean of the Consular Corps of Milan and Lombardy, Consul Generals, honorary consuls, entrepreneurs, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to welcome all connected online as well as present here in Cernobbio with us. My name is Luca Donelli, and I'm an entrepreneur as well as chairman of Lombardy Energy and Cleantech Cluster. I've been asked to moderate this dialogue between Lombardy and Consular Corps on how to involve enterprises to become smart and green. This event happens on the first day of World Manufacturing Forum, but concludes a year-long project that started with a webinar almost a year ago and developed into three topics debating on specific thematics. Without further ado, I kindly ask Alberto Ribolla to join me on stage to welcome and introduce the session. Mr. Ribolla is one of the founding fathers of the World Manufacturing Forum, as well as, since recently, past president of the World Manufacturing Foundation. Alberto?
Buongiorno, most welcome. I'm very pleased to, improperly I would say, represent the World Manufacturing Foundation as past president because I have in front of me the actual president that is at the same time the president of Confindustria Lombardia, Francesco Buzzella. So Francesco has asked me to represent formally the foundation, which I do, of course, with great pleasure. This meeting closes a cycle, a very important cycle. The cycle began in July 2015 when we launched in Confindustria Lombardia our strategic plan called Lombardia 2030. We had identified those days, and although the world has changed, it changed quite a lot, some, let's say, strategies, some issues, some topics that we ought to follow in the coming years to have the manufacturing enterprises have a better future. The first one, the most important, was to develop a policy for industrial culture. That's why the foundation, that's why the forum here in Italy, forever. And then three others main topics. One was the human capital. That was the main issue of 2019 WMF. And clusters. And the last one was internationalization. Sorry, difficult to pronounce. And that's why we are here. And along with Finanza d'Impresa, the new finance for new enterprises that we are having an event just at the side of Villa Erba, along with the strategy 4.0, these were the main topics of our strategic plan. So the foundation that is still a newborn child, was founded in 2018, now is turning quite a teenager. Still remains a startup, is quite a teenager. And so the satisfaction to have all the consular body here, internationalization, and along with the 4.0 strategy tomorrow morning, and Finanza d'Impresa, private equity, is we have wrapped up our long-term strategy. That's why we're closing today a cycle. I consider this meeting one of the future main legs of the forum to be held here in Cernobbio, and I hope that this is going to become part of the forum itself. So it's a wish I do to all the people that have organized this event. Let me thank them, starting with Undersecretary Rizzi, Maria Luisa Scalise, all the people from the Dean, of course, Michelangelo Vismara. So all the people that have been helping a hard work that started almost 1 year ago. We had a cycle of events, as Luca was saying. So now is the wrap-up day, is the day where must become a firm meeting in our agenda when we will discuss with all the countries that you are representing the possibility to have an incoming and outgoing internationalization. So something that is good for the two partners, Regione Lombardia and the foreign countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alberto, and thanks for the wishes that this is not a one-off, but the first of many. The three organizers of today's side event are Regione Lombardia, Confindustria Lombardia, and the Consular Corps of Milan and Lombardy. In this regard, during today's event, you will hear from the three representatives of these three organizations, as well as the core will be a panel with 4 representatives of different consulates in Milan. With this, I would like to ask Alan Rizzi to join on stage. Alan Rizzi is the Undersecretary of the Lombardy Region for Relations with International Delegations. And he will bring welcoming remarks, as well as we ask Mr. Rizzi to get into the core of the discussion on how Lombardy region has envisioned the road to become smart and green, as well as the pivotal role played by the Consular Corps, of which he is really passionate about. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm very pleased to be here today representing the Lombardy region as Undersecretary for Relations with International Delegation. First of all, let me thank Mr. Alberto Ribolla, past President of the World Manufacturing Foundation, Mr. Francesco Buzzella, President of Confindustria Lombardia and President of the World Manufacturing Forum, Mr. Luca Donelli, President of the Lombardy Energy Clean Cluster and the Lombardy Technology Cluster involved, for the important collaboration between entities and institutions. I would like to thank especially the Ambassador Augusto Salamanca, Dean of the Consular Corps of Milano and Lombardy, and all the diplomatic representation of Milan and Lombardy present today here in Cernobbio and online. I have the honor to introduce the welcome remarks that the President of the Lombardy region wanted to address to this important audience in the occasion of this side event dedicated to the diplomatic representation in Lombardy, in the frame of the World Manufacturing Week. Please, we can start the video.
Good morning to everyone. Let me express my gratitude to all the attendants, the Consular Corps and the keynote speakers, President Francesco Buzzella and Alberto Ribolla first, who joined us in this important event. Dialogues between Lombardy and the Consular Corps, how to involve companies to become smart and green, is the main topic we are discussing today. The purpose is to analyze how the connections between institutions could boost the economic growth in the field of sustainability and innovation. Thanks to a very successful vaccination campaign, we are entering a new phase where people and companies are facing traditional challenge, but from a different perspective. A hard international competition with a new actor emerging, the compelling climate change issue, the need for a more sustainable healthcare system. A tighter cooperation between countries and territories could help companies and institutions to deal with new demands, especially when we discuss about sustainability, green tech or innovation issues. Lombardy region aims at becoming the sustainable engine of Italy, not only the economic one. To this end, an observatory of circular economy has been promoted. Moreover, next November, we are organizing the second edition of the Sustainable Development International Forum, where we will discuss about Green Deal opportunities and how to balance environmental and economic needs. I believe that the debate with foreign countries could enrich our experience and address our companies towards a smarter and greener growth. Let me remark that Milan and Lombardy region have the greatest number of consulates. This means a huge interest in our territory and a unique opportunity to develop export and foreign exchanges. Let me conclude by renewing my greetings to all the attendants. A special thanks to the government of Brazil, Great Britain, Korea, and Norway for their speech today. Thank you, a good job.
I thank the President Fontana for endorsing this initiative and giving us the direction. The side event of today is the evidence of the solid relation with the international delegation that we are they building together based on many kinds of collaboration and meetings. As you know, this event represents the conclusion of the series of 3 webinars that we organized from May to July, in a trilateral form involving the very different countries for a part, but also close for the interest of policies for improving manufacturing and sustainability. The aim of the webinar was an exchange of the policies and the best practices in the field of clean energy with Australia, Brazil, and the energy clean tech cluster, sustainable mobility with Finland, Mexico, and the Lombardy mobility cluster, artificial intelligence with Canada, Poland, and Associazione Fabbrica Intelligente. Today, we will have the great opportunity to continue the discussion and listen to the point of view of other countries, such as Brazil, the United Kingdom, Korea, and Norway, which will share experiences in terms of sustainability. I'm grateful to give this roundtable the possibility to take place in the frame of such an important event as the World Manufacturing Forum. I confirm to everyone present my availability to any kind of exchange and collaboration you may consider. Thank you again and enjoy the side event. Thank you very much.
So this first part of the morning is concluded by the second of the 3 organizers, so Confindustria Lombardia, and in particular Mr. Buzzella. Francesco has recently been elected president of Confindustria Lombardia and of World Manufacturing Foundation. I'm sure the past few weeks have been extremely intense, and as president of one of the clusters, I would like to thank you for the immediate efforts in working on the ground with us to learn more about the open innovation ecosystem that Regione Lombardia and Confindustria Lombardia have put together and contribute shaping. I ask Mr. Buzzella to join me on the podium to share how Lombardy productive system is evolving to respond to the post-pandemic challenges. Thank you.
Dear ambassadors, Consuls, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the former president of the World Manufacturing Foundation, Alberto Ribolla, for his hospitality. During 2021, the World Manufacturing Forum represented the platform where Confindustria Lombardia could share values and proposals with other institutions in order to foster the internationalization of companies. 6 months ago, Confindustria Lombardia started this collaboration with the Lombardy Region and Consular Corps with the strong belief that given the extraordinary historical period we have been living in, having the chance to compare strategies and programs with other countries could represent a great occasion to better face common global challenges. So, many thanks also to Dean Salamanca and Undersecretary Rizzi for their collaboration. I'm glad to share with you the assumption that stronger relationships and communication between institutions and companies pave the way to making good decisions. In a post-COVID scenario where health, economic, and environmental challenges are disruptive and interconnected, together with the extraordinary amount of economic resources we have at our disposal thanks to the recovery plan, political decisions on how to spend money become historical decisions that can change the future, designing a new economic structure. Looking forward to reaching high-level global targets on digitalization and sustainability, supporting companies during the Green and 4.0 revolution is Confindustria Lombardia's main priority, in addition to guaranteeing their internationalization. I have recently been appointed as President of Confindustria Lombardia with the aim of leading the development of a regional strategy in support of our productive system in order to overcome the pandemic crisis and finalize the dual transitions during the recovery phase. In particular, to support the public administration in elaborating necessary tools that can assist companies in becoming more innovative, sustainable, and digitalized, enhancing their competitiveness in the global market. Despite the fact that 99% of companies in Lombardy have small and macro dimensions, their internationalization is impressive. Over 70% of them have foreign commercial relationships. In particular, 95% exports and 50% imports. They cover a wide range of foreign markets, 21 on average, both in European and non-European countries. The United States, Russia, and Germany are the 3 top destinations. Since the beginning of the COVID pandemic, our economic structure has shown a great capacity to face new daily problems, such as increased cost of raw materials, travel bans, delays in procurements, and other restrictions. Despite the collapse of internal and global demand, especially in some sectors, such as fashion, textile, and automotive, the majority of companies have maintained their market share compared to their main competitors. An excellent performance was registered for the pharmaceutical and life science and agri-food sectors. As in the past, internationalization has actually played a crucial role during both the emergency and recovery phase. In addition, Lombardy reached its historical record in exportation during the second part of 2021. Lombardy companies are also important importers with a high level of involvement in global value chain. These excellent performances can't hide the weaknesses of our economic system. The dimension characteristics of our companies impact on their capability to follow the main driver of competitiveness at global level. Green and 4.0 revolutions require enormous efforts in terms of capital and new resources that usually companies of small dimension cannot afford. In addition, many of our companies tend to increase their dependence on one market or one large client. Maintaining their competitiveness in both an economic and social priority, Lombardy is the first manufacturing Italian region for its number of employees, about 1 million, and the third in Europe. Supporting dual transition means supporting employees' upskilling and reskilling. The dimension issue, together with the reconfiguration of the supply chain in the global market, a small number of big players leading the competition, are common barriers and challenges faced by many countries represented here today. We are all called upon to find new solutions to support our industry in moving from traditional sectors to cutting-edge sectors. Fostering 4.0 and green revolutions in manufacturing, process and services, as well as changing, in some cases, their cultural attitude. In conclusion, we must be able to design tools to guarantee that even micro and small companies may join the dual transition, and we must work towards increasing their dimension, facilitating, for example, their international presence. On the contrary, if the 4.0 and green revolutions involve only a small number of our companies, there will be little impact on productive systems, with social risks as a consequence. These revolutions will be completed successfully only if all social parts, industrial, scientific, and institutional, evolve together at the same time, starting from education and training, in order to create new competencies in line with industrial employment demand, as well as fostering pro-entrepreneurial culture. In this regard, we really appreciate the efforts and activity of the Lombardy region and the presence of this global annual event on advanced manufacturing in Lombardy. Thanks a lot to everybody.
Thank you, President Buzzella. Let's move on to the second part of the morning, that of the roundtable, and to learn more about country experiences in terms of sustainability. So I would like to ask to join me on stage Catriona Graham, Consular General of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Please join me over here. UK is hosting COP26, and cooperation with Italy, which hosted the pre-COP26, as you all know, has been significant. Secondly, I would like to ask Ambassador Eduardo dos Santos, Consul General of the Federative Republic of Brazil, to join us on stage. During a previous webinar, I had the chance to moderate and host Minister Laranjeira of the Consulate, please, of the Consulate, and together with the audience, we learned about the initiatives put on the ground by Brazil, and we very much look forward to hear more today. Thirdly, I would like to ask Heidi Dahl, Director Italy at Innovation Norway, at the Consulate General of Kingdom of Norway, to join us on stage. Indeed, a case study of energy transition, and excited to hear about the initiatives put in place by this relevant instrument of Norway government and regional authorities. Fourth, and connected from Seoul, I would like also to welcome Mrs. Han Min-yang, Deputy Director General of Climate Change, Energy, Environment and Scientific Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. Korea has been one of the countries on the forefront of multilateral debate on climate change, having hosted in May this year the P4G summit. So thank you very much for joining us from Seoul. So obviously, energy transition is a global challenge, and now that we look with optimism at the future, we need to tackle this challenge. I will not get into the details of the instruments allowed, available to European member states and to the global community, because I think the most valuable way to use the next 40 minutes is really to hear from other countries, and very much happy that through the Consular Corps we have been able to put together this heterogeneous and interesting panel. Obviously, a couple of general statements on the topic. First of all, it's not a race among countries, it's really a race of all countries together. And I look forward to listen to your experiences, and I'm sure that peculiarities and even most importantly, the complementarity between the solutions will come up. Obviously, Italy has achieved a lot in sports. Personally, I would like to add to this year's achievements, hosting of pre-COP 26 and G20 presidency, and it's a time where leadership is required, and particularly multilateralism is at the core of solving such a challenging and pressing issue. The contribution of the respective countries present today has been relevant, and I will ask each of the four speakers of the panel to present with specific reference to manufacturing projects that are of interest and are intended towards smart and green industrial ecosystem, as the title of today's meeting asks. So we will start with Brazil. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My voice is a little bit damaged. I apologize for that. But I greet all the authorities already nominated. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very pleased to take part in this dialogue initiative organized by the government of Lombardy. My first comment is about the title of our conference. I think it's rather inspiring. From an international perspective, we could read it how to involve countries, not only companies, to be smart and green. And I'm sure that my colleagues from Norway, from Korea, from the United Kingdom share the view that what is important in this question, in both cases, is to talk about sustainability, about environmental protection, about innovations, science, technology, and finance also. But this is so because since 1992 Rio Conference, the Sustainable Development Agenda has been consolidated. And today I am here just to make some remarks about the Brazilian perspective regarding climate change and renewable energy. As you know, we had the preparatory meeting in Milan a couple of weeks ago. This was a really important international effort. Brazil, in parallel with our contribution to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions under the terms of the Paris Agreement, we have shown that developing countries like Brazil have their economies with much lower carbon intensity than those of developed countries. This is a point stressed by my government in different occasions. Brazil fulfills its share of responsibility to the point that we are committed to reduce 43% of emissions by 2030, to achieve climatic neutrality by the year 2050, and then we move forward and we anticipated that goal from 2060 to 2050. We did so because greater ambition on the part of each country was claimed by the majority of the world opinion. This was reflected here in the preparatory meeting in Milan. May this now bring about better conditions to financial and international collaboration. In Brazil, a technical committee was created under coordination of the environment minister to implement the policies to meet those goals through sustainable agriculture, measures against illegal deforestation and other instruments of energy and environmental policy. Brazil considers itself moving to a green economy, to become a green economy, which combines growth with decarbonization and expands the attraction of investments. And the government particularly is about to launch a program on this matter. Brazil has many business opportunities in every sector of its economy, and is considered a destination for foreign capital seeking promising projects from an economic, environmental, and social point of view. It's important to bear in mind that Brazil has a diversified economy, an open economy inserted in the world market, powered by a business community which is very skillful with a very bold entrepreneurial spirit. Companies of global stature, as well as millions of small and medium-sized companies, including startups, transform our creativity into technological solutions and innovative products. Let's take the example of the Brazilian agribusiness. The Brazilian agribusiness is technology-based, and it grows through productivity increase, not by land expansion. Thanks to that, we are one of the main food producers. That's why we are one of the main food exporters. Regarding infrastructure, we offer a range of opportunities that I believe are not found in any part of the planet. We are promoting a broad privatization and concession program for highways, railway, ports, airports, and in parallel, special attention is being driven to the restructuring of electricity sector. Brazil is the country with the cleanest energy mix among larger nations in the world. This is quite clear, and we take advantage to produce energy, clean and renewable energy from wind, water, sun, and soil. This is a solid contribution to sustainable development and specifically to the fight against climate change. There are, of course, other objectives about this, but one is energy security. We have an integrated electrical system which enables us to fight special situations such as the water shortage, which is occurring right now. You know very well the composition of the Brazilian energy mix. 46% of the energy mix and 83% of the electrical mix are corresponded to renewable sources, numbers that are much higher than the world average. You know, Brazil in biofuels are rather important in Brazil. Different kinds of biofuels contribute in Brazil to providing more sustainable, competitive, and safe energy, and also to inducing gains of energy efficiency and mitigation of emissions. This is not news. You know that we have used ethanol in flex fuel technology in automotive vehicles since the 1970s. This is already quite well known. In sum, by reinforcing the use of renewable energy and in the name of sustainable development goals, we continue to work hard to strengthen our industry, our agriculture and livestock, as well as our service sector. I welcome particularly the interest shown so far by Italian companies, including from the Lombardy region, both state-owned and private, regarding investment possibilities in Brazil. I wouldn't go further. I will later make some comments on specific projects that we are developing in Brazil regarding technology and digitalization. To conclude, let me quote President Bolsonaro speaking last month at the UN General Assembly. The future of green jobs is in Brazil. There we have renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, low-emission industry, basic sanitation, waste treatment, and tourism. Yes, tourism. You are all invited to come to Brazil and make good, smart and green business. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ambassador, for these very interesting remarks, particularly the focus on the traditional focus on renewable energy, since you mentioned since the early 70s, and indeed we take the invitation for granted, and commenting your remarks on the title of this side event. Indeed, through the speech we heard from Mr. Buzzella, we saw how the Lombardy ecosystem and the enterprises are ready to help and join this green jobs effort in Brazil, and for sure events like today are meant to facilitate this respective knowledge and to hear of the ongoing projects that your country is supporting. So thanks a lot, and we now move on to Korea, and I ask a colleague from the Foreign Ministry, Mrs. An Min-yang, to share what the country is doing. Thanks a lot for joining us. We understand it's already quite late in the afternoon over there. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we perfectly hear you, and as well as see you very well. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'm Min-yang Han from Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. I'm very pleased and honored to speak at this memorable event today. And I would like to share Korea's experience in our efforts to recover from the COVID-19 and to move toward a greener economy. I'd like to share my slides with you. Could you
we do have
open the PowerPoint?
Can we please see on the screen, on the main screen, the slides? Excellent. All right.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to explain mostly about the Korea's Green New Deal. I know that today's subject is how we can have our companies smarter and greener. And we believe that governments can give a clear signal to the private sector so that the companies could become smarter and greener. For example, the governments can make an investment and then this investment can lead to a larger, greater investment in the private sector. Next slide, please. First of all, I would like to start by bragging a little bit about Korea. Last year, in April 28th, Mr. Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General, he wrote an opinion on New York Times, and it's titled "A Time to Save the Sick and Rescue the Planet." And in that opinion, I quote, he wrote, I quote, "I welcome the leadership shown by countries like South Korea, which has managed the pandemic in an exemplary manner and supported other countries in doing so, and now is looking at leading the way with its own Green New Deal." End of quote. Next slide, please. So as a strategy for sustainable and greener recovery from COVID-19, the Korean government announced the Korean New Deal in July 2020, last year. It's composed mostly of two pillars: Green New Deal and Digital New Deal, with some policy suggestions for the stronger social safety net policies. And the Korean government decided to invest $134.5 billion for the recovery of the economy, and for Green New Deal about $62 billion, and for the Digital New Deal about $50 billion. Next slide, please. And during the last year, 1 year, Korean government made several significant commitments. In October last year, Korean government is declared 2050 carbon neutrality goal. And in December 2020, we made this 2050 carbon neutral strategy. And this year in May, the Korean government launched a presidential committee on carbon neutrality. And very recently, in September, the Korean government, the Korean National Assembly passed a law on Carbon Neutrality Act. So the Korean government, reflecting all these significant commitments, they updated the Korean New Deal and announced the Korean New Deal 2.0 in July this year. This new version of Korean New Deal, we increased the investment on this area, approximately $191 billion. And we also enhanced social security programs, so we added Human New Deal in this Korean New Deal program. And we also reflected the carbon neutrality programs in the Green New Deal. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, the Korean New Deal 2.0 is composed of 3 pillars: digital, green, and human New Deal, of equal emphasis. Next slide, please. So I would like to share with you Green New Deal this time. So we have these 3 focus areas and 5 key projects. We chose 3 focus areas: low carbon and decentralized energy, innovation in the green industry, green transition of infrastructures. And we also chose 5 key projects: green energy, smart and green industrial complexes, eco-friendly mobility of the future, green remodeling, green and smart schools. So I would like to briefly explain those 5 key projects to you. Next slide, please. The first one is green energy. Even before the Green New Deal, the Korean government announced that we are going to increase the share of renewable energy up to 20% in our energy mix by 2030. And we tried to reduce dependence on coal power plants. So the Korean government announced the ban of new coal power plants construction, and we decided to shut down about 30 coal power plants by 2034. And this gave signals to the market. So the Korean energy company committed to 2050 net zero target, and LG Chemical, which is one of the Korea's major company, has joined the RE100 initiative, Renewable Energy 100 initiative. Next slide, please. So the green energy, we are going to invest about $9.5 billion and try to expand the solar and wind generation to about 42.7 gigawatt by 2025, and try to expand offshore wind generation. And we also try to make a new version of basic plan for electricity supply and demand 2020 to 2034. Next slide, please. Smart and green industrial complexes. So the Korean government tried to make 15 smart industrial complexes by 2025. And we are going to establish about 1,750 clean factories. And the industrial complexes will be equipped with a remote monitoring system with AI and drones on leaking toxic chemical substances. Next, please. green mobility. As you can see, that Korea has very strong vehicle companies like Hyundai and Kia. We try to increase the electric vehicles and hydrogen vehicles. By 2025, electric with more than 130,000 electric vehicles and about 200,000 hydrogen vehicles. And you might know that for all this transition, we need battery technologies. So all these Korean battery companies, LG Chemical, Samsung SDI, SK Innovation, we are going to invest more so that we can support this green mobility policy. Next slide, please. And green remodeling and green and smart schools. It's basically about the green buildings. It's about the green remodeling so that all those buildings could save energy, and we are going to we are trying to export this mission to abroad. So Korean government tried to have more than 2,890 schools equipped with solar panels and eco-friendly installation by 2025. So these are the 5 key projects in Green New Deal. Next slide, please. In addition to this, the Korean government tried to expand our investment in green sector, both domestically and abroad as well. So we are going to establish Korea GGGI Green New Deal Fund. GGGI is Green Growth, Global Green Growth Institute, which is located in Seoul. It's an international organization which helps developing countries to establish green policies in their economic policies. So we are going to allocate about $5 billion annual contribution to GGGI to establish this Green New Deal Fund. And it's going to be administered by GGGI, and it's going to help other developing countries to establish those kind of policies in their country. Next slide, please. So we expect this transition toward a low carbon and green economy and carbon neutral society by 2050. As I mentioned earlier, we would like to share our experience and show that we can make economic prosperity at the same time while we are fighting against climate change. So it's a long-term growth with new industry, new investment, and a lot of new jobs in the green sector as well. And we are going to try to reduce greenhouse gas emissions about 12.29 million tons by 2025. Actually, we would like to reach net zero by 2050, of course. Next slide, please. The Consul General from Brazil mentioned about COP26. Of course, we are going to join this COP26 in Glasgow. I myself am going next week. And we are going to announce our updated NDC in Glasgow. 2019, we announced about 37% of gas emissions from BAU level by 2030, and this time we are going to announce about 40% of emission reduction. by 2030, which is very ambitious if you can consider the circumstances in Korea. Next slide, please. And one of the very significant event in Korea is that we've enacted Carbon Neutrality Act in September this year. The law itself mandates an over 35% of emission cut in greenhouse gas emissions from the 2018 level by 2030. And means that at least about 471.9 million metric tons by 2030. And so Korea became the 14th country in the world to legislate the carbon neutrality in our law. And the act also envisioned Korea's net zero carbon dioxide emission by 2050. And the law itself included various policy options like climate responsive budgeting, climate response fund, local plans, etc. I did not include it in my slide, but I would like to introduce to you that from our efforts, the government, in addition to government efforts, the Korean companies are now moving very quickly towards this carbon neutrality. So major Korean companies, about 15 major companies, including SK, Hyundai Motors, POSCO, Fosun, they formed a hydrogen alliance in September this year. So they try to, they committed to promote balanced development of hydrogen industry. And also more and more Korean companies are joining RE100, Renewable Energy 100. So we expect more Korean companies will join this important move. Thank you very much. This concludes my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Min Yang. Indeed, the remarkable efforts and ambitious efforts that you described allow us to make a few comments. First of all, indeed, all of us are going to continue revise each other's respective plans and budgets. And I found particularly interesting that in between green and digital, the human factor was a major revision in your plan. Obviously, every country starts from a different energy mix, and so the targets are different. However, I saw similar growth rates required in renewable as that of Lombardy region. So indeed, it's a major step to be done in such a short period of time. And we always like to remember when we speak about energy transition at the Lombardy Energy and Cleantech cluster, energy transition means new plants, new equipment, new technologies that need to be developed and put in place. And indeed, the Renewable Energy 100 effort you described is particularly interesting as well. Let's move on. As we move on to Norway, I ask Heidi Dahl to bring us through her presentation.
Where do I press it? The green one?
Yes.
No.
Can we put on the screen the Norwegian presentation?
Oh, there it is.
All right.
Thank you so much. And thank you very much for inviting me to speak. Great pleasure to be here. My name is Heidi Dahl, and I'm heading up what we in Norway call Innovation Norway. I will spend a few minutes talking about how we work with companies and how we do work for them to get more sustainable solutions. And the beautiful photograph that you see behind me here, this is your Norwegian lesson for the day. It's called Mjøstårnet. It is an 18-story mixed-use building, wooden green building in Norway. It was completed in 2019, and it is the world's tallest timber building, and it stands very tall at 85.4 meters, and we're very proud of it, and we are big focusing at the moment on green building. So, what is Innovation Norway? Innovation Norway is the Norwegian government's main instrument for innovation, but also to realize value-creating industrial and commercial development throughout the whole of Norway. We aim, and our job is to stimulate commercially and socio-economical profitable businesses and realize the commercial potential that lays in the different regions in the country. We also, like most companies and organizations, have some sub-goals. We are actually owned by the Ministry of Trade, Industries and Fisheries. And it's important for us to contribute to a healthy entrepreneurial culture throughout the country and to make sure that we have thriving ecosystems also in the whole of the country. We want people to live throughout Norway, not just in the big cities. We also contribute to funding companies for growth, and also to link them up with expertise and networks in Norway, but most importantly also internationally. We know that none of us is going to be able to solve these problems that we are in and the challenges alone, and we are definitely not going to solve them in Norway. We will be part of the solution, but we're not going to have the solution by ourselves. So to achieve more clusters and more innovative clusters, we also fund cluster programs. We have huge cluster programs in Norway that is working with clean tech, maritime, food, agri, you name it, we have it. And we are very keen to link our clusters to international clusters. That is one of our main aims. We like to say that we give local ideas global opportunities. But for us, it's even more important to also give global ideas local opportunities. We want it to go both ways. And we like to say that we are a sparring partner for business, and we try to meet the customers where they are, being at home or abroad. So we help to create jobs and opportunities by building the ecosystems, address regional challenges, and also to challenge the companies and to get them also to apply for funding, and we will help them with Horizon Europe programs. It's very important for us. We need new industries. We are using hydro and we are using clean energy ourselves, but of course we are also exporting a lot of oil and gas. So it's very important for us to build new sustainable export industries. We need to increase our export with 50% by 2030. So, Innovation Norway, we do different things. We give capital to companies. So the Norwegian companies can actually ask us for funding. And we like to say that we are a sparring partner. We're trying to be very easy to use because we want the companies to be able to develop their products and services and not spend time on application for local funding and grants. So we say if we are easy to use, we are easy to love, and they will love us. We also offer different types of expertise. So we are in Italy for a reason, and we are in many other countries in the world, and that is to find partners, to get knowledge from what is happening, for example, in Italy, and how we can bring that back home, and to say, what can we learn from other markets? So we offer companies advisory services, networking events, financing, and also we manage the clusters. That is important for us. We got, I think we are an organization that nobody else have done. We like to be a little bit different, for good or bad. But we have also included the tourism and brand Norway into Innovation Norway. So that is also our responsibility, is to get more tourists to Norway and to build Norway as a brand abroad. We have offices all around the country. We've got a long country. If you turn it upside down, it will come into the southern part of Italy. And we have also offices in 20 countries in the world, including Italy. Where we are not, we have a network with the Norwegian embassy and the consulate that they will work with us for the companies, and we work as what we call Team Norway. It's very important for us that we are all working together, because a small country, we cannot do it by ourselves. And I would like to show you one of the things that we are doing on the branding side. We know that we need the Norwegian companies to get recognized internationally. So we built something called Explorer. And this is a tool for international companies and for Norwegian companies. Here you can see some of it. It is an official platform, and it has got both stories and solutions, and also a way of contacting companies. And I will show you a little bit more of this in a minute. But I wanted to start by showing you the story of a company called Vestre, which is a furniture company in Norway. They are building the world's most sustainable factory in the world. And I'd like to show you a little film, because you are all invited to come and share experiences, because on this planet we are together. So I would just wanted to, first of all, to introduce you to Jan Christian Vestre, who's, when he was speaking here, he was the CEO of the company. I put this together last week, and I'll tell you the story about him in a minute. No? Where's the video? We got it?
So, Mrs. Dahl.
No? There it is.
I like to see Vestre as a tool to change the world by doing two things. Firstly, we create caring meeting places where people come together, no matter what kind of social, cultural, or economic background they're from. When people get to know each other and we share life experiences, exchange ideas, and sit down and get to know each other, we suddenly discover there is no us and them, only we. We are building this breathtaking factory known as The Plus because we really want to do something that the world has never seen before. And by doing it, we will increase our manufacturing capacity, be able to deliver more rapidly to the entire world, and make our carbon neutral manufacturing even greener. When my grandfather established Vestre back in 1947, he used to say that everything is possible for the Lord Almighty and a mechanic. At Vestre, we still believe anything is possible. We must dare to be bold, dare to think outside the box, and dare to do the right things. There is too much talk about sustainability. We want to see real action. This is why we are building the world's most environmentally friendly and transparent furniture factory right here in this forest in Norway. Vestre alone cannot save the world, but we can accelerate the green shift through leadership and inspiring others. The Plus is by far the largest single investment in the furniture industry that Norway has seen in decades. And if Vestre can, so can others. And we will happily share everything we know to help other visionary people and companies around the world fulfill their dreams and aspirations to make the world a better place.
Jan Christian was the CEO of the company. He was appointed 3 days ago as our Ministry of Trade and Industries. So he's the new Minister for Norway for Trade and Industry. And his invite to come and share still stands very much. And the factory is opening in December. And he's no longer the CEO, as he is now the new minister. So lastly, I would like to also share with you some more information about the Explorer and how it's possible for all of you, so we can connect together. So let's see if this works this time.
The world calls for sustainable solutions. Economic, social, and environmental challenges also mean opportunities. Norway is pioneering green technology. connecting sustainable solutions with companies across the world at the touch of a button. Introducing the Explorer, a digital platform for Norwegian technology. Find relevant solutions for your needs across a spectrum of industries, from green shipping to clean energy and smart cities. Explore carefully selected solutions from vetted companies. Register and contact the company directly to start an immediate dialogue with the right person. To make business sustainable, we have to work together across borders, sectors, and industries. The world needs solutions that work now. It's time to choose greener, better, and smarter, setting a new business standard for a healthier planet. The Explorer, green technology, north of the ordinary.
I think it's important that we work together if we're going to save the beautiful planet we are living on. And this is one of the ways that we are trying to do it with the Norwegian companies, is to offer them a platform where they can promote their technologies, also because we want people to connect. And we will vet the companies to make sure that they're green, but we're inviting you all to work with us. So I think that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Dahl. Thank you. Thank you for this north of the ordinary presentation, providing sharp description of the current situation, the plans, as well as I was particularly thankful for sharing this inspiring story of the CEO of Vestra, and good luck for his new ventures. And I think he said something very important. The plan is there, the targets are there. Now it is what I was saying earlier. It's time to act, build what is needed to replace what is not anymore suitable. So thanks a lot, and let's move towards the end of the first round of the core of this round of presentations, and let me pass it on to Catriona Graham from the UK.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here today. Yes, I'm Catriona Graham. I'm the Consul General here in Milan, and actually I also run the UK's Department for Trade and Investment here in Italy as well. So great to see you all here today. Great to see so many fellow consuls as well, because as Heidi says, we absolutely need to work together as an international community, don't we, if we're going to solve the challenge of the planet ahead of us. So as we heard in the introduction, the UK and Italy are doing a lot together, particularly this year on the theme of climate and the environment. It's really exciting that I think almost every event that I've spoken at this year has been focused in some way on this topic of sustainability. So thank you for making this event so focused on the green economy. I hope it's a really positive sign for the planet that these are the types of conversations we are now always having in industry and in government. So the UK story, I mean, of course, if we look at history, the UK led the first industrial revolution 200 years ago, which was based on carbon, on coal, and on the exact thing that we are now trying to remove from our economy. And it's exciting to be again living through what we hope is the next industrial revolution across the world. That is the revolution in clean growth and sustainability and in technology and digitalization. So the green industrial revolution, the UK is proud to be the first large economy in the world to have committed to this target that almost all of our countries now have, which is to reach net zero emissions by the year 2050. And I think the UK story is a good example of the fact that making this choice, making this commitment in our industries is not, I mean, of course, it's the right thing to do for the planet, but it's also a way to secure growth in our economies. The UK's economy over the last 30 years has grown by 78%, but at the same time, over that same period, our national emissions have been reduced by 44%. So it's good to see that these things are effectively decoupled from each other, and in fact, investing in a green future, investing in green manufacturing is now the way to secure growth. So in this vein, the UK Prime Minister has launched recently the 10-point plan for a green industrial revolution domestically, and that's going to involve £12 billion of public money going into 10 different sectors of the economy that we believe are key to future clean growth, hopefully spurring up to 3 times as much investment again from the private sector and the international investment community. And similar figures to what we heard from Korea, we're looking to get from what is now 500,000 jobs in the UK that are somehow linked to the low carbon industry to at least 2 million jobs in the low carbon manufacturing and industry by the year 2030. So the UK is looking to revolutionise its manufacturing towards green sources in these 10 areas, in offshore wind, hydrogen, nuclear, zero-emission vehicles, public transport, maritime and aviation, green buildings, as we heard about in Norway, carbon capture, utilisation and storage in nature, so that's preserving our natural resources and our agriculture, and in green finance. So 10 industries where the UK is really focusing on investing in the future. You asked me to give us a case study of some green manufacturing in the UK, and I've chosen to focus on offshore wind, which it's not only an area I've worked on a lot personally, I enjoy talking about, but it's really one of the greatest success stories that we've seen in UK clean growth, and I hope a model that we're going to see across the world replicated. So the UK has taken a big gamble on offshore wind. We are now the largest market in the world for offshore wind, generating more electricity from this source than any other country in the world, and on track to reach electricity production of 40 gigawatts from offshore wind by the year 2030. And when I started first working on this industry a bit over 10 years ago, it was an expensive technology, one of the most expensive renewables options at the time. Also, the UK didn't really manufacture very much at all that was related to this technology. Most of it was imported from other countries around the world. Now, thanks to the UK's investment in this sector, investment in manufacturing, and most importantly, international collaboration, international investment in our country, the costs of this technology have fallen by over 2/3, even just in the last 5 years. It's now one of the most affordable renewables options in the UK. And we now have factories all over the country that are manufacturing everything from the array cables under the sea that connect this to the grid, the offshore substations, the offshore foundations, the transition pieces, those yellow things, the blades, the towers. We have now 60% of the value of an offshore wind project, which is coming from local manufacturing. So 7,200 jobs created in areas of the country which were badly in need of jobs. And most importantly, these jobs are being created in the ex-industrial centres of the country. Many of our countries have this same issue, where centres of the previous industrial revolution are suffering because of lack of recent investment. And this clean agenda is a way to regenerate jobs and use the skills that those areas have. So it's great to see that these jobs are not being created in London. They're being created all over the country where we need manufacturing to be happening. It's meant that the UK is now rated as the leading destination for investment internationally in offshore wind, and we are now exporting those array cables, those towers, those foundations to other countries around the world as well. So a real success story in the fact that if you invest in green manufacturing, you see growth in parts of the country which most need it. I will finish there, but the main message that I would also like to emphasize that we've heard already today is not only that green equals growth, and I hope that some of the UK's success has shown that, but also that international collaboration is key for the industrial revolution that we are embarking on now. And so that's why it's great to be here in this forum today to discuss how we can deliver that together.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Graham, for sharing this presentation, and particularly the 10-point plan for domestic evolution that you brought forward. Very important messages on the experience in developing the wind industry as well. Very important what you mentioned of having the opportunity to have dispersed manufacturing opportunities for job creation and job growth. Indeed, as we saw through today's 4 presentations, the speed of change is so quick that it takes a big effort from the manufacturing industry, from the manufacturing, which is a very complex system of integrated value chains, to adapt, prepare, and organize for what is coming. And I'm sure that it was clear to all those present online and in the room that the dialogue is very much necessary, and the opportunities are there, the plans are set. Now it's time really to go from PowerPoint to power plant, like fellow entrepreneur likes to say. We had thought of having a second round, given that the first round was very much rich of information, and without, I don't want to sacrifice too much of the networking sessions that will happen after the meeting. So I ask those that are connected online to reach out to the respective councils in Milan for further information, as well as some of the links were also shown during the presentation. And we move on towards the concluding part of today's event. So I thank all of those, and particularly Mrs. Han Min Yang, connected from Seoul. Thank you very much for your patience, and have a good evening. Thanks a lot for your participation. I also thank Ambassador Eduardo dos Santos, Consul General Catriona Graham, and Director of Italy Innovation Norway, Heidi Dahl. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So we move towards the end. You may reach.
Go back down.
Go back to the seats, and it has been a very intense morning. To conclude, I ask Ambassador Augusto Salamanca Castro, the Dean of the Consular Corps of Milan and Lombardy and Consul General of the Republic of Peru, to join us on stage. The Consular Corps are the third and most important partner to this event, together with Regione Lombardia and Confindustria Lombardia. And without the support of the Dean and the Honorary Consul Vismara, this event could not have been possible. So thanks a lot for your support, and I let you for the closing remarks. Thank you all for attending this session.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to express my appreciation to the representatives of Confindustria, Regione Lombardia, the World Manufacturing Foundation, and Michelangela Vismara, who has been instrumental in organizing this interesting event in this wonderful venue of Villa Erba, on this dialogue on becoming smart and green in the framework of the World Manufacturing Forum 2021. As Dean of the Consular Corps of Milan and Lombardy, I would also like to express my gratitude to my colleagues and representatives of countries that are present and online via web, and in particular to the speakers from Brazil, the United Kingdom, Korea, and Norway. They have provided valuable information based on their country's experience, best practices, and know-how with the goal of becoming smart and green. Providing a summary of the conclusions is not easy. It's not an easy task after such interesting presentations. But let me start with the easy ones. Events like these serve all of us, private and public sector, to convey a message that we must work together, as we have heard continuously in the presentations of today, as a joint venture between the private and the public sector for the challenges we must face, not in the future, but now, the present, to become more green and smart in a sustainable manner. In most countries, carbon emissions are not produced only by state-owned companies. For this reason, having the right legal framework is only half of the solution. The other half of the solution is working hand in hand with the private sector, the manufacturing industry, in order to be successful and have a real change, a change that matters. Some concepts that we have listened today are very, very interesting. Shared responsibility, complying with the share of responsibility of each country, diversifying the economies is something that is also required. We have heard about a Green New Deal, which I think is very important, and also monitoring system on toxic chemical substances, and the Green New Deal in support of developing countries such as my own. Global solutions are the ones that are needed, is also what we have heard today. I like the phrase, easy to use, easy to love. No negative bureaucracy is needed anymore. The premise, as we have heard today, is working together. Clean growth in this new green industrial revolution. Lower, of course, the reduction, the cost reduction of all these enterprises, and decentralization in our own countries. As diplomats and representatives of our countries, our additional responsibility, if I may, is to convey to our own authorities and entities in our countries the valuable experiences that have been presented here today. It is the most effective way we can support this effort. Through cooperation, we can share our experiences with Lombardy and its manufacturing industry, which will also become very useful in our common goal. I will finish with my remarks paraphrasing Pope Francis in his recent statement. We cannot be healthy in a sick planet. Thank you very much.